Hey, Marcia here. If you're anything like me, you may have wondered what can you do to protect yourself from the electromagnetic fields we're exposed to every day from our phones, computers, routers, and countless other devices. That's why I'm so excited about today's conversation. We're talking about shungite, a remarkable black rock from Russia that has gained attention for its unique properties and its potential role in helping to shield the body from electromagnetic fields or EMFs. We'll also explore what this might mean for your overall health and even your bones. My guest is Valerie Burke, also known as the Shungite Queen. She's a nurse practitioner with a master's degree in nursing science, and before that, a bachelor's degree in geology. And that combination turns out to be the perfect lens for today's topic because she understands both the human body and the science of the earth and its minerals. Valerie discovered shungite in 2017 and became fascinated by the science, history, and unique properties of this rare Russian rock. That's when her customers and community started calling her the Shungite Queen, and the name stuck. Today, she is one of the most knowledgeable voices on shungite. In this episode, you'll learn what shungite actually is and where this rock comes from, what makes shungite so special, and how it's said to interact with electromagnetic fields, and the connection that Valerie sees between EMF exposure, shungite, and bone health, and the difference between the various grades of shungite, and how can you spot genuine shungite versus the many fakes on the market. So this episode is full of so much interesting information. Stay tuned. Welcome, Valerie. I'm so happy to have you here on the podcast.
Hi, Margie. I'm so glad to finally meet you face to face.
Yes, this is a topic, and it's a little different than my normal topics, but it's something that I've been really interested in for a while. I mean, I have shungite in my desk, I have different things, but there's so much more I need to learn. So I'm going to learn a lot from this podcast, but I just think this is something that people need to know about because it can really help in many ways, and it's something that we can do that is not well known at all. So I'm just so happy that you're going to shed some light on this topic for us.
Well, I'm happy to share. I'm not sure where you want me to start and how much your community knows about Shungite, but just give me a little guidance as to where you want me to start with
Let's
it.
start from the very beginning because
Okay.
let's just start. What is shungite? Why don't we just start the very basics? What is
Okay. Well, Shungite is a mineraloid. It's not a mineral because it's a rock that contains a lot of different minerals in it, dozens of elements and minerals. It's the world's oldest carbon-based rock, so it goes back 2 billion years. There's only one outcrop on the whole planet, and it's in Karelia, Russia. It's kind of on the border of Russia and Finland. How shungite formed is still a mystery. We don't know. The leading theory is meteorite impact. Special properties come from its structure molecularly, but not its content, because there's several carbon-based rocks, right? There's diamond, there's lead, there's coal, but it's really the structure that sets shungite apart. And it has a very interesting history. It dates back to the 18th century with Peter the Great. And he was noticing that the villagers in this town called Shunga were drinking the water of the stream that came through the shungite outcrop, and they would heal very quickly from their injuries and from illnesses in general. So he created a spa, a shungite spa for his soldiers. And he actually had them drink the water and carry shungite in their pockets.
wow? Well, what is it that makes it so special?
Well, it conducts electricity, and the reason for this is it has, I talked about its molecular structure making it different. It has something called fullerenes. Have you ever heard of carbon 60 or C60?
I have, yes.
That's just another name for these carbon molecules that they occur very, very rarely in nature. Usually they're man-made, but they occur in shungite. And the only other sources for rocks that have fullerenes in them are lightning strikes and meteor craters. And they find it in like cosmic dust from planetary nebulae. So it's so rare. That's why they can't figure out how it formed. And so that basically causes shungite it doesn't trap EMFs. It doesn't block them. So if you take a meter, it's not going to measure a lower reading. What it does is it somehow molecularly changes the spin of the molecules to make them more like our our Earth-generated EMFs. So more compatible with our physiology.
Yeah. That's an issue for me. This is why I was so interested in it. And I do have Shungite on my desk, and I always have because I heard
Good
that
for you. Good for you.
it can mitigate the effects, but you're gonna really tell us how you can use it. But let's since this is a podcast on bone health, like how could this help our bone health?
Okay, well, yeah, there's four primary ways EMFs adversely affect the bones. And the first one and the primary one is has to do with these things called voltage gate calcium channels, or VGCCs, which is almost as hard to say as volt as the full word. But anyway, these are on the outer cell membranes of some of the cells in our bodies. And when these are disrupted, it causes a rapid influx of calcium into the cell. And that causes a chain reaction event that damages proteins and cell structures, including mitochondria, which, as you know, is so crucial for our health and our immune system. And it even triggers DNA mutations, which is going to be very important for the bones. And produces a whole lot of free radicals. And then, of course, that body responds with inflammation. And as it turns out, impaired bone metabolism and a bone mineral density goes down the tubes. So, related to that, these voltage gate calcium channels are only in the electrical systems of our body. So, like our brain and our heart. So, why in bones? Because that was the first question I asked. It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, it turns out our bones are piezoelectric. And that means that under stress, they produce electricity. So every time we move, every time we jump or dance or walk, our bones are generating electrical fields. So that's why they have these VGCCs. And that's why our bone cells are very responsive to electromagnetic fields, whether they're good fields or bad fields. So the second way, I have a couple studies. Are you interested in hearing
Yes,
about this?
we're big
Okay.
research.
Okay.
I'm very
So what?
big into what the research says and what because a
Okay.
lot of people I'm very much into, I love crystals and I love stones.
Yeah.
I just love this. But, you wanna be if you're not a person that loves not even, we wanna understand, well, why? What is the reason? Is there a real reason for this besides just enjoy
Yeah, and as a science person myself, and I have all my degrees are in science. I have degrees in geology and nursing, a nurse practitioner by training. So I was not leaping into this rock and crystal thing. I mean, in terms of the energy. So I said, show me the research. Well, it was frustrating because all the studies on Shungite were in Russian. They hadn't been translated. So yeah, it's difficult. So anyway, 2016, there was a study involving electrical workers, and it showed that long-term exposure to electrical wires is associated with diminished bone density, just overall. And then there was another study that discovered that men who carry their cell phones in a hip pocket, there was a difference in bone mineral density between that hip and the other hip. It was lower. So two fairly recent studies that show there's something going on with EMFs and bone density. So second way, they said there's four ways. Second way EMFs damage bone is by the bone marrow, the effects on the bone marrow. Because your bone marrow produces 95% of your blood cells, your red cells, white cells, platelets, and of course your osteoclasts and osteoblasts. So if you're around EMFs a lot, those are getting, stem cells for all those things are getting bombarded around the clock. And several studies, show that there's a lot of correlation between chronic EMF exposure and blood and bone marrow diseases like leukemia, for example. So that's not a good thing. The third way EMFs damage bone is by impacting thyroid. Thyroid, is required for proper bone metabolism. Prolonged exposure is linked to altered thyroid hormone levels and thyroid nodules and even thyroid cancer. And then the fourth way is by decrease in melatonin production. And the big thing is melatonin is really bumped up at night. And a lot of us sleep with our devices in the bedroom and some right on the nightstand there, right next to our head. And that's the period of time that we're supposed to be asleep and our bodies are, replenishing themselves, detoxing and all of that. But they can't do that if they're, being stressed while they're sleeping. So melatonin is a key factor here too.
Hey, Margie here. As a physical therapist, I know firsthand how important exercise is for our bones, overall health, and happiness. And unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion on what exercises are safe and effective for people with osteoporosis. That's why I created this handout that contains a 30-minute video where I explain the concepts so you understand the do's and don'ts when it comes to exercise. And this is important because this way you can go into any class and know what you should be doing and what you should avoid. Because too many people are doing exercises that actually increase their risk of spinal fractures. I also included videos of me demonstrating effective balance, posture, and weight-bearing exercises you can put into your day right away. So all you need to do to access this handout, it's free, is go to tinyurl.com/osteoporosis exercises. So it's tinyurl.com, again, /osteoporosis exercises, or you can click the link in the show notes. Now back to the show. Wow. The thing is, and this really impacts me because now that I really don't do a lot of work in person. I do everything online. So I am, I'm on my computer so much. And
Oh,
for a
yeah.
super healthy person, I really am. And I take such good care. I exercise, I eat well, but this is one area where I want to do as much as I can because I know it's not the greatest, so that's why I think this shungite is something that really, really can help. And so why don't you tell us, though I know there's like different grade, let's just get a real knowledge. So if we, and this is going to help me because I just have some around my desk. I went to the local, it's not even, there was a local rock shop that was amazing. And one day I was like, I was reading about shungite. I'm like, you know what? I need this. And so I just went and I picked up some things and I've had them on my desk. But tell us, there's different grades. Let's get the information so that we can be knowledgeable. And, what is the difference? There's like different grades of shungite.
Yeah, there's 2 grades of shungite, 2 primary ones. There were 3, but the shungite is almost, the mine is getting very low. Like I said, there's only one place you can get it on Earth. The top grade, type 1 shungite or elite shungite, has the highest percentage of carbon, like 97 to 98%. And I'll show you what it looks like. It's very, very different than your basic black shungite. It's
Yeah,
very
look how different
shiny,
that is. Yeah.
very different, yeah, and they can't shape it like that stone that you have, because 'cause it'll just fracture, it'll
Mm.
crumble, but it's the most powerful. Now it's all mined out, and you can still get it, but you'll pay, a fortune for it. I pay a fortune for it.
And what's that called? What is that called?
Elite shungite,
Elite shungite. Okay.
type 1, and it's almost, almost all carbon, so it has a lot of fullerenes.
Yeah.
And then the regular black shungite, which is like what you have, presumably. This is type 3, typically used to be type 2, type 3. I hear the type 2 is pretty much gone. So it's around 50% carbon. But it still works on EMFs. This is what Regina Martino, she wrote this book and she did 10 years of research on shungite and how it affected our vital fields. She did it all on black. So you don't have to have elite shungite to get
So
EMF.
grade 3 is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's usually just called black shungite
Okay.
versus silver shungite or elite shungite. And so the black shungite, is used to make all the forms, carved, the beads, the phone plates, all of that.
Okay. And so
So
how do
that's
we
types.
know? How do we know though, you go to this, how do you know what's real and what isn't real? Because, someone could fake this, I think, quite easily.
Right.
So
So
the
if you have a
yeah.
yeah, if you have a piece you wonder about it, there's a really actually an easy way to tell if it's genuine or not. If you have a multimeter, and if you have a garage, you probably have a multimeter of some kind with an ohms setting. So if you don't, borrow one from a guy that has a garage.
Okay.
That tinkers a lot. So it'll have a red lead and a black lead, and you set it to ohms, and you just put each of those leads on the stone. And if it goes above 0, it'll probably dance around the numbers, and that shows it's authentic shungite because it's the only stone that conducts electricity.
Oh, how interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, you can
How
put it
much
on your.
fake? How much, unfortunately, what's the market like?
I've never gotten a fake.
Oh,
But I'm very careful about who I buy from. So when I started out in this, I sourced my shungite carefully. I tested everything that came in until I really knew. So I don't randomly buy from
Got it.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I know people who have tested and, yeah, it's just a black rock.
Oh gosh, how
Yeah,
upsetting.
I know. And because it's limited in supply and, very valuable, there are some fakes out there. You have to be careful. I do have a YouTube video on testing it if you wanna watch it. It'll walk you right through it.
Oh, that's great. You know what, you'll give me the link, and we'll put that in the show notes for people
Okay,
to watch.
okay,
That would
sure.
be great. And so where do you put it? Like, all right, let's take me, for example. So what
Okay.
is my so and there's a lot of other people like me who are on the computer, and we want to do all we can to mitigate as much as possible. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
do I do unplug Wi-Fi at night. I use the
good
Ethernet
for you.
cord. I do things like that. But what's the best way to use the shungite? Where should I put it? Fill me in.
Well, okay, a few basic principles to keep in mind, okay? When it comes to shungite, size matters.
Okay.
So the size of your piece, at least when you're not wearing it, I
Yeah.
don't think it matters so much. If you're wearing a shungite jewelry or you have a stone in your pocket, it's in your energy field, right?
Okay, so
Like,
someone could buy again, we have to look at cost. So you're saying someone could
yeah.
buy a piece of shungite and put it in their pocket, put it
Mm-hmm.
on their person
Yep.
somewhere.
It,
Does it have to touch them or it can be in their clothes?
no, it can be, the closer to you,
Okay.
the more it's in your energy field. But our energy field is around us, like I have, I wear this. I don't, this is a little piece of elite shungite.
Mhm. Oh,
I don't think you have to have a giant stone. I mean, people say, I want a huge, it's like, well, you don't really have to. My belief is it's kind of like homeopathy. It's titrated down. When it's in your energy field, it's in your energy field. It's not about quantity.
oh,
But then it's a different matter when you have a piece that's sitting out in the room,
yeah.
then it has a field of effect related to its radius and mass. Mass determines the radius of effect.
So, like, this
So,
piece, just to sit here, is very s I have another piece that someone gave me that's like a pyramid, it's very small.
right, right. So,
Um,
for example, the larger the mass,
yeah,
the wider the range. So, a 2-inch pyramid has a range of about 7 feet,
okay.
a 4-inch pyramid about 17 feet,
Wow.
and a 6-inch about 58 feet.
Oh, wow. Okay,
So,
that's so good to know, yeah.
so when you're thinking about putting an object on your desk or wherever, you're real close to it.
Right.
But if your desk has a ton of electronic devices, like most of us,
Yeah.
we've got phones and cell phone and everything, you might want to go to the next higher size just because you more shungite will mitigate a little bit better in an EMF dense environment.
I love that. Okay. And you have what I mean, you have such a we'll talk about that later, but you have a beautiful site with beautiful jewelry. That's just so
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
That
Thank you.
so if you're wearing that piece then so for someone so I could put it on my desk, but make sure it's large
Hmm.
enough. I could wear
Hmm.
it.
You could wear
Like
it.
this, I should actually hold. Would that be better for me to actually hold it versus having it, like, right next to me? This is very tiny. This is not big.
Yeah, I have something called harmonizers, which is two pieces. It's one piece of shungite and one piece of soapstone. And then actually, because of no, don't ask me about the physics or the energy of this, but when you have one in each hand, it somehow evens out the energy flow in the body.
Mm.
So that's just something that, I've learned from others. I'm not a crystal person, so I can't really tell you too much about that, but I have people that just absolutely love shungite and soapstone together, so I have the harmonizers. You
Oh.
can I have like, there's a lot of guys who don't wanna wear jewelry, so I made you remember the old pocket watches?
Oh, sure.
They have the little clip onto the pocket on the string.
Yeah.
Well, I thought, "I'm gonna make a donut for the pocket that clips onto the belt loop," and this I did years ago, and he liked it so much that I ended up just putting it in the store.
Oh, wow. So they could just wear that even if they're on the computer and just because
Right.
it's touching their body, that would
Yeah.
be trick.
If you don't wanna do a necklace or a bracelet, because a lot of men are not jewelry wearers, and
Right,
some
right,
women
right.
aren't jewelry wearers, so
So would my best bet be to do both? To have the piece and
yeah,
something touching my body?
I like the overlapping fields of protection idea.
Yeah.
So, if I mean, you gotta stay within your budget because stress isn't good for anybody's
No,
health.
no, of course
But if affordable, you can put a larger piece in your room,
right.
where you're trying to protect yourself. And then also wear a pendant or a pocket piece or whatever, so that when you get up and walk around and you're out of that field, you still have the protection of what you're wearing. Or when you leave the house, you're still protected. A
Nope.
little bit about form. So, like for desks, pyramids are the most stimulating, energy. A little bit more makes us more, a little more awake. Whereas, like a sphere is known for being a softer, gentler energy. So, good for bedrooms, babies'
Hmm.
rooms, things like
So
that.
that would be if you really have to be awake, like, at my desk, I cannot be tired. So that here would
Yeah.
not be a good thing. The pyramid
Yeah.
is much better.
If you're sensitive to that. Now, to me, it doesn't affect me either way. I can have pyramids in my bedroom. I can be next to a sphere. I'm in this room. Some people can't, if really sensitive people can't even stand to be in my gallery here with all this shungite because they just start buzzing.
Oh, wow. That's so
It doesn't affect me like that, but it
wow.
depends on how sensitive you are. You have to also consider how sensitive you are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have crystals, like, all over. I'm a big crystal person, so
Oh, yeah.
I have crystals, like, if you can see everywhere. I love but I love the shungite too. I don't know what it is. I just feel protected. Yeah, so tell us, I always love the backstory. So tell us how you as a medical practitioner, how you got involved with shungite.
Oh my goodness. It was a very twisty route. I have to tell you that. So I started out in geology because I've always had a fascination with the earth. And about halfway through my master's degree up in Alaska, all of my classmates were, even the ones with PhDs were working at McDonald's. So I switched my major to nursing. And at the time, I was a single mom of a toddler. So I really needed to be able to pay the bills and not be working at McDonald's, right? So I went through the nursing program. I actually went all the way to becoming a nurse practitioner. And long story short, I had a lot of chronic health problems myself. And they got bad enough that it was really impairing my work. And so I kind of started going toward the alternative medicine because Western medicine just didn't have all the answers. And that led me to, I was a natural writer and I could write from home. So I started writing quite a bit more, became a professional writer for Dr. Mercola, and then Anne Louise Gittleman found me and asked me to write her, 36th book with her, Radical Metabolism. And that was in 2015. And then on one of my trips out to see her, I took some of the jewelry that I had been making and just basic gemstone jewelry. And she asked me, "What can you make me that would help protect me from EMFs?" And I had no idea. So I dove into the research, and that's when I discovered Shungite. And so I wrote a big report on it because I, couldn't find anything like concise that had all the information in it. So I decided I'm just going to share this information because the world needs, nobody knew about Shungite in 2018, even geologists.
Wow.
I
And
mean, we never heard
only
of it.
from Russia, right? That was the only
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They knew about it in Russia. I mean, they use it regularly there, but it was the best kept secret in the United States.
Huh.
And so, yeah, Anne Louise loved it and still swears by it. And I started making it. I started putting it in my shop. And when my report went out, it just seemed to be what people needed because that's all I did from that point on was Shungite.
Wow, and how long ago was that?
That was 2018.
So tell us, like, what people have stated, because I'm sure people have told you what changes they've experienced because of the shungite?
Yeah, yeah. EMFs can produce such varied symptoms, and it's really the canaries in the coal mine that I hear from, the ones who have, brain it's a lot of things like brain fog and insomnia, not being able to function at all at work. And it's just all kinds of physical illnesses getting worse, cardiac, arrhythmias, a lot of arrhythmias. EMFs can, because it's electrical and our hearts are electrical, it can mess with your heart rhythm just across the board. And it's not 2 days that go by that I get the same report from people.
And what do they
So
say that once how long does it take for when they start using it to notice a difference?
a lot of the time it's right away. It's like the first day or two.
And how much shungite did they use? Like, what do you tell like, that person who's sensitive, what's your recommendation where to start?
If they're sensitive, I have them start really slow because you can have a detox reaction, just like you can with taking a new supplement. So if they have a detox reaction, then it's like then you just little titrate little exposures, have it in your hand for a few minutes, put it away, let your body kind of get used to this energy. So for very sensitive people, I don't go big, just a little bracelet or something.
And then do they gradually build up? So someone who's exposed a lot, who has a lot of exposure?
Yeah, if they love it, then they end up buying more and putting it everywhere. I had an engineer, a young engineer, software engineer who was absolutely debilitated and had to quit his job. He was only in his 20s, went to live with his grandmother. He had bought some Shungite from somebody else and had said, "Wow, this is really making me feel better." And then discovered me, bought several more things, and within, several months, he was well enough to go back to work, and he had shungite just all over his room,
Wow,
but
so
he was
just from the shungite, it
just
moved
from the shungite, just
the EMF exposure or problems. Wow.
and then there was an surgeon who couldn't tolerate the operating room because there's tons of tech
Mm.
and bright lights and electrical things, and he ordered a elite pendant but couldn't tolerate that because it just made him buzz all over, just like, you know. And so he said shungite's not for him. And I ended up saying, let's just try a black shungite because it was, softer, gentler. And that was the ticket. That was the ticket back in the OR.
Wow,
So,
right. So
yeah.
interesting.
But
Hmm.
it doesn't work for everybody. I'm not, implying that this is the magic bullet, but it does work for a good number of people. So I became a believer. I was a real skeptic at the beginning, but it won me over.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because when I had heard about it, I'm like, I have to be honest, I have crystals here, I have everything. I don't really feel the difference, but I love having these things around me because it's
Yeah.
good. It makes a good environment when you do have all this tech and the computer and this and that. But when I do hold it, it's a good feeling. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not fake. I was like thinking to myself, gosh, she'll tell me it's fake.
Well, we can test it. You can test it and see
Yeah,
what see if you know.
I'll have to test it, absolutely.
But if
But
it feels good, I'll bet you it's real.
it does, it almost feels grounding, would that make
Mhm.
sense? Like, if I hold it, I just feel
Yeah.
grounded in the earth for some reason, yeah.
Shungite can feel grounding, but I've been recently educated by a crystal person that shungite is really more super strong in the detox and connecting us with who we really are.
Where some of these
She
others more feel like these aren't grounding to me, they're more spiritual and
Mhm. If you
things like
wanna be grounded, go for the smoky quartz.
it's just so I'm one who goes into a shop and just I just see what attracts me, it's not based on anything other than, that feels good or, I just it's based on that, not on
Yeah.
any scientific principles or anything. But
Right,
it's,
right.
but it's great. That's so interesting. So, anything else about Shungite that we should know? 'Cause tell us, 'cause I know you sell it, so you sell it online then, people can go
I
visit
do
it.
I do. I do a lot of custom work because, well, my philosophy is shungite doesn't have to be boring and black. So I like putting pretty stones with it. And I've learned quite a bit about, just because I've been doing this for a while now, the properties of other crystals. So I try and pair shungite with other crystals based on groups of complementary properties. If you're into the woo woo, I've got, enough information on my website for to make you happy. And I've gotten more woo woo over the years, but I'm still grounded in science. So, but yeah, I have a lot of color. I like to add a lot of color to it. But I also love doing custom work. Say somebody contacted me and they were going to their high school reunion. So I created a necklace and earrings for her with shungite.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm happy to do things like that.
Oh, and if people told you what they were looking for, like, "I want protection and I'm very stressed out, I would like some relaxation," things like that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. I even created a shungite thing for a horse.
Oh my, why? What did the horse need?
It was more the owner was worried about the horse being next to a smart meter.
Wow.
And so she got a smart meter cover, and then she had me create this what we did is we put a sphere into a hanging bag and hung it in the barn right next to inside his stall. And so it was a big enough sphere to have good range and good for his body mass.
Yeah,
But, whatever, I mean, you can find that on my website, so I do love to create with you.
and you have children's things too, like children's
I do.
napkins. Yeah.
And for pets, for dogs and cats.
Yeah. No, that's so interesting. So tell us, I know you told me you have an osteoporosis story to share.
I do. Yeah, it was kinda crazy. I was diagnosed in October of 24. I had been dealing with a frozen shoulder and rotator cuff issues for a while, like 2 years, and it wouldn't unfreeze. Most frozen shoulders unfreeze, mine would not. I had tried everything, and after, I don't know, a year of PT, the surgeon said, "Let's do a manipulation under anesthesia," which is kind of a radical procedure, but, I went, "Okay, anything to unfreeze this thing." So, long story short, he broke my shoulder.
Oh my god, I've never heard
Yeah.
of that. I worked in acute orthopedics for a million years. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it ended up actually, it was horrible. It was absolutely one of the most painful things I've ever gone through. But it had two really good things that came out of it. One was I got tested, I got a DEXA scan, and it showed I had osteoporosis. And the second thing was I was in so much pain that it pushed me in a big way toward finding my miracle treatment for inflammation, which is frankincense oil, the resin oil, not essential oil, which I started making for myself during those several months. And then that led to my launching the apothecary in the store because I had to get that out to people.
Wow.
That was how I found you, Margie. I found your podcast and I started implementing all those wonderful, not everything, but a lot of those wonderful recommendations. And they told me you'll never get your values up enough. It's severe enough that, you really have to go on medications. And I'm like, being the bad patient that I usually am, I said, let me try it my way first. And so I did, and I was diligent about I did lift more, not actual lift more, but I did my home version of it.
Version
And
of strength training, whole body. Yep.
yeah, heavy resistance training because I had already been doing that, rehab
Yeah.
for my
With
shoulder.
the PTs, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So 18 months in, I had another DEXA. That was this March. Blew it out of the water. I
Wow.
mean, crazy. 11% density improvement in my lumbar spine, which took me from osteoporosis to osteopenia. And I gained 13% in my right hip, which took me to the normal zone,
Wow.
and 9% in my left hip, which is my surgical hip, not a replacement, but big problems in there. So I even gained 9% in that hip
That is incredible.
in 18 months.
Mhm.
18
Wow.
months.
Wow. So you were doing everything. You were doing nutrition, the exercise, and you reduced your inflammation. Wow.
I did. And I went back on my estrogen replacement,
It's a big deal. Yeah.
cream, which I had been off for 10 years, but it wasn't just that because my values were better than they were 10 years ago.
That's incredible. Right, so the combination of the hormones, the exercise,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
was anti-inflammatory. Wow. That
Yeah, and my frankincense oil healed my shoulder so quickly that the doc couldn't believe it, and I did not end up needing the surgery that he was originally trying to prepare me for. To
wow,
repair the things, they sort of repaired themselves, so it was just like,
wow.
wow,
Yeah.
you never know why things happen.
No, I'm a big believer in sometimes it just happens and, you don't know the reason until later on. I mean, that's what I always say about osteoporosis, because this diagnosis is a catalyst for action. That's what I
Yeah,
found. People are
yeah.
afraid. It's scary. And people are like, "Oh, no," but it does propel you right into action.
It
And
does, it
and the
does.
action you do helps everything, when people take
Yeah,
action. And that's what's always it's always so wonderful, not that we want this diagnosis, but when I hear all the good things that people have done when they go from being afraid and sort of immobilized, like, so, okay, well, what can I do? And just like you. Well, that's great news. Thanks for
yeah.
sharing that. It's always good.
Oh, I mean, it changed my whole life, and I couldn't even believe how much I moved the mark.
That is incredible. Good for
It
you.
was. And so I'm just like I needed the encouragement because I thought, "What if I'm doing all this?" And, just staying steady, you know?
The thing is for people, even if they maintain, that can be good because so oftentimes the
It
trajectory
can be,
goes
yeah.
so
But
it's
in my case, maintaining would have meant probably looking at medication just because it was so low.
Yeah, yeah, oh, good for you. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
But we'll have all the information about your store. I actually wanna get s I the necklaces are so, so pretty that you can wear something that gives you protection while you're well, it looks pretty as well. That's beautiful
Yeah.
you're wearing. How
Thank
pretty.
you. Thank
That's
you.
the elite. Okay, so that's
This is the elite. This I didn't actually make this pendant. It's a vintage antique one from like 30 years ago that was made by another artist, and I bought out all of his stuff because he was closing down. So I didn't put this one on the market because I said, "Ooh, that's for me."
yeah, no, that's great, but it's very pretty. I thought that the pieces were very pretty. Okay, so
Well,
now
I'll fix you up, Margie.
yeah, now I know, right? I have to get as much protection as I can. We'll have next time you see me, everybody, it'll be this big.
Yeah.
They'll be really next to, like, massive Shungite.
Well, you can see my you can see my shelves.
Yeah, yeah, that's I mean, I have a fair amount of crystal
You
here.
do. I It's
But I love
beautiful.
it. I just oh, it just feels, for me, it just and when I meditate, I hold them in my hands. I
Yeah.
love it. I just think it's for people who haven't tried it, sort of just, like, get into that state. Am I right? And just sort of
Mhm.
you have to be in the state if you're really busy and your mind's going, you're not gonna sense it in terms of or
Yeah.
do people I don't know, maybe people do, those people who are sensitive, I guess. I'm not sensitive, I don't think. But I just feel good. It's like a good feeling. I notice when I'm surrounded by all these well, if I walk into a crystal store, oh, there's just like nothing better.
Even people who aren't sensitive per se, they're drawn to shungite. They have to just, put it in their hand and they go, "Yeah, I this just feels good,"
Well, it's
you
so
know?
funny, the first time, I don't know why. So there unfortunately, the store, the person moved. Can you imagine? This amazing store was right down the street from me that I loved with beautiful crystals and everything, and she moved and the store closed, and the owner moved somewhere else. But anyway, one day, for some reason, I'm driving by, and I don't know why. I had heard something recently on Shungite, and I'm like, "I have to get it." Like, all of a sudden, my mind is like, "You must go get this. You are on the computer too much." And so I stopped and I said, "I have to have Shun." Like, she looked at me, "The guy's crazy. What do you mean you have to have Shun?" "You have some. I just am feeling Shun." People could think I'm crazy, but anyway, it's just something that I think is, look, there's research on it. It's a good thing, and for me, anything that can help protect you, especially because I'm on so long. And as you said, there's all sorts of good properties, and it's easy. I'm a big person in what's easy that can help our health, and
And this has hundreds of years behind it, just not here,
yeah,
The Russians have been using it. They have shungite rooms. There's a few here in this country too, but they have shungite rooms in some of their spas over there,
really.
where they stick people in a shungite room,
And
you
what do
know?
they have? So it's not the whole room isn't shungite. They
Yeah,
just
the whole room is lined in shungite, like shungite tile.
my goodness, have you ever experienced that?
I haven't. I haven't. But, there is shungite powder that people have put in paint to paint a room
Really? Wow.
where they really want to shield from EMFs. And I didn't talk about shungite water. Shungite water is another way you can use shungite for your health, but that's not for EMFs. That's more for just the fullerenes, the carbon 60 and the detox properties and I think it just sort of energizes the water in a way that nothing else can.
Mm,
Um, but
interesting.
that's only the elite. You shouldn't make your shungite water with anything but elite because there's too many other, heavy metals and other elements
I was
in
hearing
black
was
shungite.
interesting. I was gonna ask you about that actually, because I
Yeah.
did see some articles where it wasn't high quality shungite and they found heavy metals. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, even high quality shungite has heavy metals in it, period. I mean, because it's got lead, it's got dozens of elements. That's just normal, in the outcrop. So by using the elite for shungite water, you're down to like 1% of
Mm,
everything but carbon. So it's very
but that's
low.
probably very expensive, so it's not actually that realistic. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, I sell bags of the elite for it has gone up. I think it's like 120 dollars for a bag, and that's enough for a big dispenser tank, and it lasts, years.
Oh, I see. So you put it in and it just filters the water?
Yeah, the nuggets are really, expensive, but these are little pieces,
Mm,
and so it's like gravel, and you put it in the water, and you let it sit, for like 12 hours, and it infuses it with Shungite healing properties. So it also keeps it from growing any kind of mold or anything. I've had it in there for 6 months every time, and I never get any, growth in there, but I start with filtered water from my regular water filter, but
right.
it's amazing. The
Right. So like I have osmotic filtration. So you're saying you start with that water
I
first.
start with that water, and I add that to my Shungite water tank.
Mm.
And then I use it like a tonic. I just, have about a glass a day. Some
Does it
people
have
use it for
does it have
everything.
a flavor?
No, it doesn't. None.
But you're saying you could just put it like take a teaspoon of it and put it in, or it needs to go in a tank? What is it? How does that work?
Um, you pretty much have to put it in a tank
Mhm.
and let the Shungite sit in the water. And then I just draw it out. You know those beverage dispensers, kind of like the punch that has a spigot at the bottom?
Right, 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 right.
That's what I have it in. Because if you jostle it around in a pitcher,
Yeah.
because it's so crumbly, you'll end up with sand.
Oh, I see. And how long does it take for it to do its job?
It just sits in there about 12 hours, and then you start drawing the water off. And then some people, feel better after using the water for, a week, 2 weeks. It's very individual.
Wow.
Some
So
people don't notice
interesting.
anything.
So interesting. Well, anything
Yeah.
else that we've missed? This is I yeah.
Oh, probably.
We covered the basics, though, so that people have a good idea about Shanghai. I'll have your information in the show notes and how they can look so that people can look at your store, and at least we know from your store, it's safe, it's all from Russia, it's the real deal. I think
It's the
that's
real deal. The only other thing I would say to watch for if you don't buy it from me, there are folks out there who are they're saying, "Oh, there's another outcrop. It's from Brazil." Let me get the right information for you.
is that true or it's
Colombia. It's
Colombia?
not. It's not
Oh,
Shungite.
okay.
It looks a lot like Elite. It's called Colombian Shungite, but it's not Shungite.
And what's
It's
the name
rac
of the Russian what's the name of the Russian Shungite so that we know what it is?
it's just Shungite. That is Shungite.
Oh, okay.
True Shungite, Karelian. It's from Karelia, so authentic Shungite, Karelian Shungite. But if you see Colombian Shungite, it's not the same thing. It's pretty, but it's not, or Racurite, Raquirite. It's also called that. Its chemical composition is different.
How are they allowed to do that? That's awful.
I don't think there's much control. And the thing that's kind of freaked me out about it is it's not heat stable. So you get
How
it
does
near a
that
flame and yeah, it fractures all to pieces.
oh, gosh, that's
So,
well, I
yeah.
heard that from Lloyd originally, Lloyd Burrell, who is Mr. EMF himself, and he's very,
That's
very sensitive, so that's how I first came in contact with you, so I'm like, "Okay, she's the real deal."
right. I
No, I
appreciate
think
that.
it's important because, how sad that someone thinks they're doing something good and they have fake shungite, right?
Yeah.
That's
Right. Right.
we don't want that at all. Alright, well, thank you so much. This has really been enlightening for me, and I'm gonna play with your store, see what I see. But very
Just, just reach out if you want something you don't see.
no, I love that you do things for so on your site, is there a way people contact you then also?
Yeah, there's just a little contact me box, and I'm a one-person
Oh, people okay,
operation.
yeah, so the link will be in the show notes, and so if
Yeah.
they contact you, if they wanna have specific needs,
Yeah.
to create something for them, well, that's great.
Yeah, and I do everything myself. I respond to the emails myself. Might take me a day or 2, but I make everything myself except well, there's a few things that I don't, but
Busy
pretty
you.
much it's just me, yep.
Busy you, you have to be so busy, but I guess when you're surrounded by all the shungite, right? Not so bad.
I know, right? Helps. Every little bit helps.
Well, it sounds good. Well, thanks. It's been a pleasure meeting you and hearing all this information, and thank you so much for joining me here today.
Well, thank you, Margie, for all you do. I can't say enough of good things, and I have told so many people about you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I'm thrilled to hear your story. That's really great news. So thanks so much, Valerie. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Valerie as much as I did. and now the better understanding of shungite and how it can help with EMF protection, as well as so many other things. All the links that Valerie talked about will be in the show notes. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.